Swami Durgananda, the Acharya from Europe, remembers Swami Vishnu-devananda at the 50th anniversary of the camp.
Swami Vishnu-devananda Maharaj ki Jai. So?
The idea was the transgression.
Okay, so the idea is...
the idea is, if there's a question to ask about Swami Vishnu, the relationship of DBM with Swami Vishnu, or any question about yoga, you're welcome to do that.
Talk about what? Okay. So who are you? Guests, TTCs, old-timers? No? There's some TTCs here? ATTC. And some guests and some old-timers from way back. From way back. More way back than what I remember. No? Yeah. So I met Swamiji in 1971, not personally, but I had gone to Rishikesh, to the Shivananda ashram. You don't know this about. To the Shivananda ashram in Rishikesh to learn yoga.
That's good.
And being a Western woman, they, or girl at that time, they said, it's better for you to go to the Flying Swami. And I said, well, who is this? Flying Swami. And they said, well, there's this Vishnu-devananda, he has now an ashram in Canada, and he will teach you yoga. Because here we don't teach women, and you also won't have a visa for a long time, and it's better for you to go there. And I registered it. I had to go back to Europe anyway because I was German-born, or I am German-born, and but then I had to think about this. Canada, I knew it was very cold here in the winter, so I thought this is not really what I want to do. Go to a cold country, to another cold country. And what is this Flying Swami? I want to go to a real yogi. I don't want to go to a Flying Swami. So instead of that, I went to California because, that's where all the yogis were. And of course, I stayed in San Francisco. After a few weeks, somebody gave me a leaflet on the street of San Francisco. And on the leaflet it said, the Flying Swami is coming to town. Is he going to chase me or what, Flying Swami coming to town. But anyway, I was curious, of course, because I knew that had a meaning. Somebody gave me this leaflet, so I went to the old San Francisco Center, which doesn't exist anymore now because Swamiji sold it after a few years. And there, the satsang hall was in the cellar. And then I met Swamiji there for the first time, and he was very tired, and he looked very tired, he spoke very tired, and I was not really taken by the meeting, because as arrogant as one can be, I've gone to India and stayed there with so many different swamis and holy men. I thought that he was not that caliber, because he came across very humble, of course, but he had torn dhoti and he had a cold, he was sniffing and coughing all the time. And then he gave his usual lecture, that you're not the body, not the mind, and practice yoga, and so on and so on. And that lecture was okay, but there was like a man standing on the head all the time during the whole lecture, And I thought, is he not controlling the audience? What's this man doing, standing on his head? And he was looking very funny on his head, and he had his dirty socks on, and he had his funny pants on, he was on his head, and he was not straight, and I mean, didn't really look very becoming. And so I had all my preconceived ideas, like second lecture of TTC. And then the lecture was finished, and I went to the front to see Swamiji. Of course, there were many people coming to the front, and I was quiet, I was listening. First of all, there were a lot of staff there from the farm back in those days, and from San Francisco itself. And they were very happy that Swamiji came. And then I heard that Swamiji had just arrived from India. You know? He had just arrived from India. How long is the flight, Swamiji, from India to California? 16 hours or something? Or like 20 hours. So Swamiji had just arrived and he gave the lecture right away. So that was why he was tired. And he was very, very chased by time. And then I heard that the man who was standing on his head the whole time was a prisoner, an ex-prisoner who Swamiji had taught the headstand in the prison and had given him a CIBY, and he had completed Sri Rupa Yoga, and he had learned the headstand by himself more or less. And so he was showing Swamiji that he had learned the headstand, and he was thanking Swamiji for coming to the prison, and he was out of the prison, but he was continuing the yoga. So everything looked out a completely different perspective, so I was very impressed. And then afterwards, after lecture, all the staff, they said, oh Swamiji, it's good you're here, and Swamiji said pizza and ice cream, and so we sat on the floor. They invited me also, and then we had pizza and ice cream, and Swamiji was like one with the staff, completely one with the staff, and that really impressed me. But still, I was very distant because I was careful, because I was looking sincerely for a guru. So instead of that, I moved into the IYI and the integral yoga, Satchidananda, Swami Satchidananda, moved into that place there. It's not still there on the lower street in San Francisco, and as a resident, And so I was there for 1 month, or 1 month and a half. And Swamiji came to visit the IYI there. I think it was the only time he came. First time he came, and the last time he went. Not for any reason, but it was just like that. And I took my time off. I was working, and I took my time off, and I remember making his seat, and he was invited for lunch, and making his seat, and I felt inside the devotion already, and I was wondering why I have this devotion. But then he came, and he came with one staff and a harmonium, I remember, and then he gave a satsang, not speaking satsang, but it was a satsang of chanting, kirtan, and it was very powerful. And Swamiji looked fresh and clean, and no holes in the dhoti, and no cold. He was like really vibrant. And of course, it floored me. I became like a tiny little girl. I was afraid of him. I wouldn't speak to him. I saw this presence. And then he invited everybody to come to the farm, because it was a long weekend. It was in May. There's this holiday in the States, long weekend. And invited everybody to come to the farm, and I went there, of course. And during that time, it was 1974, that time I joined staff. I went to the director of the San Francisco Center, and I said, please, can you ask Swamiji whether he will train me? And he was, of course, proud, to show that he found the staff. Took me by the hand, took me to Swamiji, and said, there's this girl, she wants to join staff. He looked at me, embraced me, and said, welcome to the family. So that was it. And 2 days later, he was sitting under a tree at the farm and Grass Valley, our ashram there. And he called, Durga, Durga! And I looked around, and who is he calling? There was nobody there. And I went to him and I said, my name is not Durga, you know. He said, yeah, but every time I see you, there's Durga. So I had my name. So I had my name, I was Durga. And then everything went very fast. This was 74. Then took TTC in September there with Swamiji, and then he went into seclusion right after October 74. And I was cooking for him already and bringing him the mail, and he was so fast. His mind was so fast. I was always shivering before I went. He was staying in a trailer, very nervous. I was very afraid of him. And but there was no need to be afraid. Don't think that he was, a fearful personality. Those who've never met him, but he was like so much prana, so much energy. You really felt your limitations right away, just even looking at him. I'm sure many of you had the same experience. And then December came, and my parents hadn't seen me for 5 years. And so, because I was traveling, first India, then America, and then you know how it is. And so I went to him and I said, Swamiji, can I see my parents for Christmas? He said, where are you from? I said, Germany. Oh my God, that was it, I could see his mind. Yes, you can go. But you have to promise me to see Swami Ramananda. So he said, you go to Geneva and you go to Vienna and you visit the Munich Center, which is just about to be opened. I said, yes. So I went to Christmas to my parents to Cologne, Germany, and my father paid a train ticket. I went first to Geneva. The Geneva people had just rented the place and they were painting the walls. So here I was painting the walls with Charles Poncet in Geneva. This was January 75, and painting the walls there, and then I said, I have to go. Charles Poncet said, you have to stay, we need teachers. I said, yes, but I have to go to Swami Ramananda. I took the train from Geneva to Vienna. I reached early in the morning, it was a night train, and I got to the center. Swami Ramananda opened the door, and she said, who are you? I said, I'm Durga from the farm. Durga, who's Durga? I said, I just joined staff, you don't know me yet. Okay, come in. So I go into the kitchen. She asked me to come to the kitchen, and there was breakfast. Breakfast was set up. She didn't know, well, she knew I was coming, but they had breakfast, and who was at the breakfast table? Swami Hidyananda. Swami Hidyananda, the personal assistant of Swami Shivananda, or the doctor, personal doctor of Swami Shivananda. Of course, I had no idea about this, and she was there. She was very sweet. She saw I was completely new, just from a night train, and so we sat and had breakfast together, and she was very, very, very simple also, very, very, very sweet. Yeah, and then the next day, I found myself in the car to Munich. So the plan was that Swami Ramananda and Swami Hidyananda had a program in the new Munich Center. So I was in the car with them, and Swami Ramananda said, oh, you're just right because I need a staff in Munich. I said, no, I'm staff in California, and I'm staff with Swamiji. She said, oh, no problem, I call Swamiji. So she called Swamiji, and there I was, I ended up in Munich. Oh my God. These are the first tests, I lived out of my suitcase literally 1 year, not accepting my post, as he put it, But Swamiji would call, and he would come, and we would have retreats, and he slowly, and then he took me to India. He always knew exactly when Durga was on her limit, and he sort of took me then on travels. And so this is how I started. So that was January 75, I started being staff at the Munich Center. And from then on, things were moving. This is how I met Swamiji. He had a way of picking the people everywhere, no? The whole world. So everybody, I'm sure, has a story like this. My story is not unique, I know. But it's just a story of little Durga, who thought she was Californian and had left Europe behind. Yeah.